Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Dios
God
es
is peace.
la paz,
Peace itself,
el origen de la guerra,
understanding the origin of war,
al ser humano
will lead the human being to eliminate it from the face of the earth.
creencia errónea
The erroneous belief
soluciona
that war solves conflicts
es lo que ha
has devastated
a la sociedad.
all kinds of societies.
Y es que la guerra existe
And the thing is, war exists inside the human being,
en su espíritu.
but it doesn't belong to his spirit.
El combate para dominar
The combat to dominate others is certainly
el camino del ego,
the path of the ego,
yo ancestral.
the ancient I.
La ilusión
The illusion of winning
que se domina
by means of domination exists.
tiene la razón.
So does the idea of believing that we are right because nobody contradicts us anymore. The idea of equity because everything is in accordance
Que es perfecto.
with the impositions of my perfect society.
Idea de someter
The idea of subduing he who is more indomitable than myself. The idea of reigning and putting in order what I do not understand or do not want to understand, etc.
todo aquello es
All these ideas
del yo.
are vain wordiness of the ego.
Mientras este tipo de ilusiones
War will exist
como realidad
as long as these types of illusions, which are taken as real, subsist
existirá.
inside the collective mind.
Guerra no nace
War is not born outside man, but inside him.
si le llaman
It doesn't matter if it's called holy war,
económica,
religious,
invasión,
economic,
etc.
invasion, etc. It is war anyway.
Asimismo, la fuente de la paz
Also,
existe
the
dentro
source of peace exists inside every human being.
acallada por
Now it has been quietened by the ego's uproar.
emanación
Peace is the emanation of love
la armonía
that seeks harmony
equidad.
and equity.
Paz
Peace
es traer
is to bring the universal mind into this reality.
paz
Peace
la quietud del
is the quiet of the heart that only listens to its God.
paz
Peace is to understand your brother before deciding to attack him. However, they now decide to attack him first,
conversaciones de paz
and then negotiations for peace start in order to disguise their evil intentions.
paz es lo último
Peace is the last thing rulers think about, be they African, Korean, Chinese, Palestinian, Israeli,
comunistas
communist, capitalist, etc.
paz
Peace is what brings God down to earth.
para ello la
For
fuente
this,
de la guerra
the source of war must cease. For this,
fuente de la
the source of war must disappear
inconsciente
from the collective unconscious.
ello
For this
trabaja para el futuro.
and the future we are working.
Decir que se comprende
It is not enough to say that we understand peace. It must be experienced. In order to experience it, we must connect with the source of love and forgiveness. We must go against our beloved I. He who is contaminated by power will not renounce the ego because he believes that it provides the enjoyment of power.
mas ese poder no
But that power does not exist. What really exists is conflict.
era aprendida de su
And the way we have learned to subjugate the enemy, be it a people, a nation, a gender,
ideología,
an ideology, a religion,
una manera de conectarse con
a certain way to connect with divinity, a ruler,
cosa,
or anything.
el ciego,
But the blind person thinks he knows it all, even if he lacks the least understanding of his own inner nature.
que este mundo
It is believed that this world is everything, and they only appeal to the spiritual world to reaffirm their power on this plane.
por eso
For this reason, the researchers of the occult are used for the sake of observing what the enemy is doing, and they become perverted. They do not understand peace, they do not understand harmony, they do not understand the difference between ego and spirit. What is more, the astuteness of the ego itself makes them believe that it doesn't exist. There is no I, there is no ego, and it isn't the source of any conflict either, because it doesn't exist. Say psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, physicians, counselors, rulers. There is no I, there is no ego. That is not the source of conflict. God doesn't exist either. The human being thus remains defenseless, ignorant of the reality that dwells inside of him, and looks for other explanations about what he experiences and feels. There is no God. If there is war, there is no forgiveness. There is no effort to put oneself in the other's shoes, and they rewrite the story about their enemies, justifying their own actions. The atomic bomb was necessary. There was no other option. They won't stop the genocide in Africa. It is better to look somewhere else, ignoring the drug cartels, allowing whole nations, men, women, children, elders, to die of hunger. In the 21st century, allowing them to die because they do not have a handful of food to eat, dying of hunger in the 21st century, spending $4 billion on an aircraft carrier. This is justified. However, the ego doesn't exist, nor does God, and the human being will continue wandering in complete ignorance, looking for the answers to what is happening in his world, in this world, because he doesn't know peace. God is the source of peace. The ego is the source of conflict. If this is not understood, nothing else will be. For this reason, it is urgent, impossible to postpone, to shed light into the darkness that reigns in the human subconscious. May every person know reality. May every person get close to their origin. May every person experience love in plenitude. May every person awaken and be in the image and likeness of the Source. So, in the middle of discord, peace must be chosen. In the middle of the mockery of the ego, which shouts from the rooftops that God doesn't exist, we live in God, act in God, and love the way God loves us. It is not necessary to shout or argue, but to be. Amidst our own internal battles, we choose God. We become God's allies. We are He, She, because we decide to be peace, to be forgiveness, to be God's love. We decide to love as God loves, to live as God lives, to experience the peace that reigns in the universal mind, to be he, she, our own deep inner being. Thank you. From the nest of the Golden Eagle.